The third interview was the best at that point.
Yeah.
You could argue the introduction of you and Art Durkee was also a quite a good interview, or at least show in and of itself. But this one was the best. Carl Sagan's former wife and his son Dorian Sagan, notably without any mention of Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
It has little interspersed poems in between. Besides the Emily Dickinson poem, it's generally doggerel, especially Dorian
Yeah.
Sagan's poems, which are crap. There's actually a later poet that comes on the shows that we'll talk about who spurs even worse crap, yet absolutely decries the establishment.
Well, I had.
This was a very interesting interview, though. You go through Gaia theory, you go, and she has such an expansive range of topics that she can talk about in regards to science. She's probably a functionary, as you've posited in your three intellects theory, but she does not. She has many different insights into Gaia theory, and she even makes sense out of a very controversial theory.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to interview her, and I got her. So she was a big get for the show, and I appreciated Art Durkee appreciated Dave Wesley. I don't think really even knew who she was, but she wouldn't do the interview unless Dorian was there. And Dorian then later joined my Cosmoetica E-list, and for the next decade or so, 8, 9, 10 years, he would often send these sort of like childish little emails. If I had said something or someone else, he was. I found him very insecure. I don't remember if in the interview he spoke about his father, Carl Sagan. I know that he had, at that point in his life, he had sent numerous emails talking about how, Carl had been a bad father and whatnot. Lynn seemed to be much more charitable towards Carl Sagan, possibly on air, but certainly off the air when I had mentioned that. She clearly knew nothing about art, the poetry, big deal. I asked her at some point there about Lauren Isley and his writing, and she talks. Well, his ideas are outdated or whatnot. I could tell she didn't really know that much. I hadn't read that much, which to me is incredible because if you want to be writing a book, a science book, I mean, Isley is the template of the great science writer. Forget whether or not he was a great
Well, just a great
scientist.
writer, period.
Yeah.
Imagine how much more understanding the masses would have of basic science if Einstein or if Newton were actually able to string words together as well as Lauren Isley did.
Yeah.
This is something that's often overlooked in science because it has to be communicated as effectively as the ideas are great. And if you just have great ideas and no way to communicate them in any reasonable manner, and Einstein was notable in this, then you have confusion about the masses and about your readership rather than getting to the point. E equals mc squared. There's still people out there, especially in the laity, that have no idea what it is because Einstein was never able to communicate it very effectively and memorably.
Yeah, and so I mean that's a very good show overall. I kind of sort of wince at it because Dorian, while he knew certain stuff, it was clear that he was the junior member of the mother
Yes.
and son team. It was clear that he was sort of like a puppy that I I I had the sense, and I remember Art Durkee and both Dave Wesley. There were a few points in the show where he would say something, we'd all look at each other like, okay, that he was acting in a childish way. And I think Dave Wesley had edited some of that out, some of those sort of passive aggressive moments where he might have said something, uh, Lynn might have said something, and Dorian had said something. Well, yeah, and that's true. Certain people can't handle it, like my father. That those kinds of little marks. There was maybe 3 or 4 times that happened, but overall, it was a good show. And you know, but I kind of I a part of me always was a little bit kind of it would have been a better show if it had just been Lynn. Uh,
Yes, it would have.
it, Dorian is one of those people, and the other brothers too. Nick Sagan, he has his writing career thanks to his father, and it's one thing to have this brand name, but you have to do something on your own merit, and it always seems to me when I've listened to that show 3 or 4 times in the dozen years since is that uh, Dorian is just a little boy who's taking a crayon and going over his father's photograph with the wax and trying to scratch it out. So there's that you don't get in the show. You get a little bit of it, but the background stuff too. I always remember that, and I'm like, God. And at this point, he was in his early or mid 40s when he was doing this. I'm like, what is wrong with someone that can't get over that thing? But whatever.
Lynn does have some truck with her former husband too, in his idea that we all come from stardust.
Yeah.
That ties in with her Gaia theory. It was interesting how even as she grew apart in theory and in life from him, how much they got the same destination in the end. And
Well,
that that
I think Lynn with the Gaia stuff did go a little bit to the fringe edge. I think there are some points about Gaia that are are worthy. I was just thinking today. I was listening to uh, a video, and I was thinking how uh, I, any individual, we are a part of the cosmos, but equally we are apart from the cosmos as well. The idea that, we're all part of the earth and whatnot is obviously true, but the earth itself is not a living thing. A biome is not a living creature. The earth isn't a giant one-celled animal, and we're not little parts inside of a cell. So I think she and Lovelock, who actually came up with the Gaia theory, got a little bit loopy in some of the stuff. As bad as I was just watching yesterday a thing, Dateline NBC or something. They were talking about the bleaching of coral in the Pacific Ocean, and there's a research island somewhere out in the middle of the Pacific that's protected and whatnot, and uh, so they were talking about these things, and if coral does bleach and the temperature gets higher, I mean, life will evolve. It won't be exactly what it is, and it's a shame to miss it. But people who talk about extinctions of certain animals here as being great tragedies, or for example, people will sometimes talk in the arts about we're losing. There was one time there were 20,000 languages spoken on the planet. Now there are only 5,000 or whatever it might be. And in the next 100 years we might have less than 2,000. Well, that's just the way it goes. The loss of animals through extinction is certainly a worse problem than the loss of language. But this catastrophic notion that everything's going to die, sure, there's probably going to be pandemics, there's going to be things that happen, starvation or whatnot, but mankind isn't going to go extinct because the rate at which our technology is increasing, I think, is far outstripping the damage that we've done, to the point that we'll soon, probably by mid-century, be able to start repairing much of the damage. It may take till 2100, but my guess is within 100 years we will have conquered and mastered a lot more of the planet, whether it's weather manipulation, whether it's all of these other things. So you know anyway, so that's just my thought. I think Lynn would have made a better interview alone without her son, but it's a good interview nonetheless, and the best of the three at that point.